Hey, everybody, Josh Kelly, Citadel Benefits Group. I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest today, Deanna. Really excited about this. As the brokers that are watching this, we're always trying to bring you the next thing, give you lots of resources and options for things. And I'm excited to introduce you to her and HR Tech Solutions. Thanks so much for being on the meeting today. And real quick, let's give us a quick intro there and tell us who you are, what your background is, and then we'll kind of dive into your company.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Josh. I appreciate it. So yeah, my background, I'm specifically HR for most of my career, human resources. I started in recruiting, just kind of hustling there, and then worked my way up to consulting and really have a really vast technology background. Worked with a variety of different systems from ADP to Employee Navigator to Paylocity. I mean, you kind of name it, I've worked with it, implementing systems and really helping clients leverage their systems for efficiencies. And so for me in my career, I noticed a major gap in the market. Systems were implemented and not always implemented correctly. And really, there was a big struggle and efficiencies for bringing that technology to HR departments. HR departments weren't utilizing or leveraging them correctly. And so in 2016, decided to start a company that filled that gap. And it kind of grew into what it is today. So I'm excited to tell you more about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Softwares are great. Technology is great if you use it. And I can tell you as a business owner, I've probably purchased a dozen different softwares in the past with great intentions. And then it's so complicated. We don't implement it because it would something I would have to do. And I'm busy just like everybody else. And without having somebody on your team to do it, this is such a great thing where you can, turnkey. Hey, here's what I want. Please do that for us. And
Yes,
so, and
exactly.
speaking of that, let's talk about the technology side. There's kind of two different sides of your business. One's the technology side, and one is the or the HR and the consulting side, which they're, as we said earlier, they kind of melted together. But let's kind of separate it for now and talk about the tech side and exactly what all do you guys do.
Yeah, so we do quite a bit of business direct to healthcare brokers, to brokers. So, and we service their technology and function as their technology arm. So we will work with systems, Ben admin systems that they maybe offer their clients, and or systems that maybe clients already have in-house. So for example, maybe a broker offers a B-Swift or an employee navigator out to their clients. We'll actually work and build those systems for them come renewal time, come implementation time for new clients. We do all of the carrier integrations, payroll integrations, if that's an option for the system, help with any discrepancies on EDI feeds, all of those types of things. And then we can work with those Ben admin systems that they, as I said, offer their clients, or we can work with maybe an ADP where we'll come in and do those renewal builds or help support that system for their clients. And so we do quite a bit with brokers for their systems in-house and then those client systems. And then also can work direct to company. So if a company needs to utilize us for similar services outside of just Ben admin, but maybe their payroll system isn't working correctly, or maybe they have an issue with performance management, it didn't get done correctly, or they have a new module that they want to roll out with an HRIS system, we help support those clients directly as well. And then the last thing that is really important is we help through the RFP process. So maybe a broker has a client that's looking for a new system. Their system isn't working correctly, or they're on paper and they want to get off paper and implement a new system. We'll walk that client through the discovery process and help them select a new process or new system, demo that system with them, and go through selection, help them with pricing, and really select the new system. And we're also really good at helping with implementation. So we'll project manage that implementation. Maybe the client or even direct to company, they don't have a resource in-house where they need some assistance. We'll help with that as well.
That's awesome. Where things have kind of fell on the dead on the floor for me is I go through and I'm like, all right, hey, this is what we're going to do. and really excited about it. And then it's the setup, it's getting all the things adjusted to make it, because every business is a little different. Ultimately, everybody that's listening to this, watching this video, we all basically do the same thing. If you're a broker, if the business owner catches this, obviously, your business is very different from us on that side. But it's one of those things where, I've got so many things going on, but I need to customize and adjust and do all of this, and that usually falls onto the key person's plate, right?
Mhm.
Because I've got it all in my head of what I want, and the amount of time it would take me to explain it to somebody on my team, I could have just done it, And so
Yeah.
having somebody that understands the business, that's in the business, that knows the type of things, and I know with you guys, you work with very little information. A lot of times it's, hey, here's kind of what I want. Okay, got it. Then you can kind of go in and build it out, because this is what you guys do every day, on everything.
Yeah, and I think you really got it right, because ultimately, brokers want to be experts at what they do, right? And so you want to be an expert at dealing with the client services. You want to be able to help get the right benefit plans in for clients, and you want to be able to work with them on sales and whatever else you need to do within your office. But I think then having to go and then deal with technology too, I think a lot of times is just not something that's the specialty. So having somebody to kind of pair up and take that time to do that, so that you have that time to do what you do on a daily basis, I think makes sense in general, and vice versa. Like, we don't want to do what they do because they're amazing at what they do, and they
Sure.
do a great job. And so I think it's a great match, and it really helps just from time saving perspective and just efficiency perspective for clients from a service delivery.
Let me ask you this. I know for me, like in my business, I have a person on my team that's kind of my tech champion, where I say, listen, you're responsible for making sure all this goes in there. It's kind of like the old Seinfeld, the soup Nazi. They're the software Nazi of, like, hey, you have to do this, instead of, no, you can't do it. It's, no, you have to do this, or no, you can't mess with that, where somebody kind of owns it. Have you found that works out good for a lot of companies as well, where they have one person that's kind of in charge? Whether, and if they don't have somebody for that, obviously you guys could be that. But like for us, in a lot of cases, I think a lot of brokers is, once you get me going and get it set up, we can kind of run with it from there. Have you found it's best to have that one person, or do you see kind of you got it set up humming so well that everybody kind of dives in and uses it? What's your experience been with that?
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense to have one person or a department of people in some senses that are handling that technology, because I think if you have too many hands, there are different processes being used, and there are a lot of different things that you can do within those backend systems that maybe are different, and maybe get the same result, but maybe the actual process is not the same, or they get a slightly different result, or they tweaked this setting and it wasn't what, John did versus what Mary did, and it just looks different. So I think it's good to have one person for sure, or people that are handling that technology that really know it. I do think sometimes, as with anything, like, one person can't know everything. And so sometimes that is difficult depending on how many systems you have in play. But for sure, like, instead of spreading it out, I think having a department or one person makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I think it's the most efficient way to do it.
So, in talking about, really with the technology side, you guys, if the system has the ability to do it, I know you guys can make it do the thing that somebody's wanting. If it's in there, you guys can do it. And then sometimes I know there's things that's not in there that you can, make do. So let me ask you this. What's the benefit of going with HR Tech on something like that versus working directly with an employee navigator or whatever particular bin admin system? Because I know some of these software companies have an internal team
Yeah.
that can do things. What would you say is the why are you guys the better option for that versus working directly with the company?
Yeah, so a few things. So you mentioned Employee Navigator. Navigator does not have an internal team, so you have to either do it in-house, or you have to have a company like us come in and handle that, because you need to be responsible for your own. They have a support team, obviously, but as far as building for you, They've got great support articles. So for us, I mean, I think a few things are differentiators. One, we move very quickly. So a lot of times, either internally or companies, there are, we need 15 days, we need 30 days, we need this many days before renewal. We are staffed and layered in the sense where we can move pretty quickly, and pivot quickly if we need to accommodate, changes, last minute things. So I think that's probably one differentiator. The other is we have individuals essentially that have knowledge in all different aspects. So all of my staff have broker, whether it's enrollment services background, HR background, and technology background. So they understand every single user. So if you have a client end user, they've worked in HR, in that capacity, they understand that hat. They understand the broker side because they've worked either enrollment services or for a broker. In some capacity. And then I think the technology piece as well. So having the three-prong approach for us has been really successful because we can help pivot and actually assist brokers in helping their clients just be more efficient. Ultimately, if we have to get in with the HR user, we understand that piece of it, how they're interacting with employees, right? So I think that's another one. And then I think probably the third you asked about just if they have an internal support team. So ADP is an example. They're probably a little bit more supportive on enrollment. They'll give you an enrollment specialist and they'll say, here's an enrollment specialist. This person will help you build. What we've found is they don't always have the knowledge that the HR team has. The HR team doesn't have the knowledge that the system has. And so they're always missing kind of the in between, right? So they maybe follow a script and say, hey, I've got to check this box, I got to put this in, give me this. But we know those situations aren't always black and white. Our world, broker world is always moving quickly. There's always different things happening. And so thinking about things like, hey, wait, we need an EOI, or hey, is there a, what do we do for a late entrant, or how do we program this, or look at this? They're always checking that box as an internal team. And I think for us, because we've done so many of these and we have staff that have experience, not just with Employee Navigator, or bSwift, or ADP, with 45 different systems, they can kind of look at that and troubleshoot those things in the moment. And so we become more effective that way as a partner, I think, and just really help leverage things for brokers for their clients in that aspect. And I would say similarly, when we're direct to clients, right? We understand the HR side, we understand the technology side. That's not happening a lot, specifically with implementations. They're checking those boxes, they're going through it. And essentially we are trying to fill that gap in between where we understand both sides. And that has made things so much more effective for clients.
To summarize all of that, which are all very important, how many times, people are listening to this, have you got on the phone with a tech person and they're probably good at clicking those buttons, are brilliant, but they have no idea what we're really trying to do and why we want to do it. Having somebody that understands the tech side, that is brilliant in that side, but also understands what we're actually doing and why we're doing it, and have done it before, makes the speed to which you get things done so much better and easier. And you're probably going to think of things that we don't even know we need, because you've come across so many things like that. I know for me, speed is money, right? Time is money. We've heard that, but I think speed is money. What's the fastest way to the cash? How quickly can I get this done so that I can do what I do? And that's important to where, like for me, people that can work with very little, instruction and explanation, and can do kind of what I want. Same reason I've used the same graphic designer for years, because she understands how my brain works. I can give her very, very little to run on, and she knows exactly what I want, because we pounded through all the stuff early on of this is the type of things that I like and how I want it done. And so now it's just so easy to say, hey, I need this flyer with this, this, and this. And it comes back in very, very little back and forth. And that's the kind of the same experience that you get with you guys on everything. So I think that that's an awesome option. And here's the thing, brokers, most insurance companies give you tech credits.
Yeah.
And you can use that to pay for every bit of this. So in one sense, it doesn't even matter what she charges for any of this because you don't have to pay for it. Let's let those big companies pay for it. If you're not utilizing tech credits, reach out to me. If you're using a carrier that doesn't give you tech credits, reach out to me. We've got a lot of options for that, but most of them are anywhere, around 5% is kind of what I see. Most of them will give you back. So you've got a company that you write $100,000 in premium in there. Well, that's enough money to go in and pay her to set up whatever you want to in a lot of cases. So there's so many people that are not taking advantage of that on a daily basis on the cases that you're writing. And maybe there's not a need for it, but you say, well, I don't tap into it because nobody said anything. Ask your groups. That's another what I call kind of the golden handcuffs of, hey, they're providing me with this software and paying for it and all of that. I mean, that just adds another layer of value to what you bring to the table for them because you can buy insurance online. You can do anything you want, and it's that personal touch is why we do what we do and why we're successful. So this is just kind of another piece to add into that. So if you're in need of any of that stuff, reach out to her. We'll give you all the contact information at the end of the video. But that being said, let's kind of transition into the other side of what you guys do. So I don't know if this side came first or the tech side came first or what, but a big part of your business is what I call fractional HR. I know you probably have a different term for it, and that's probably not fair to talk about exactly what all you guys do because I know you kind of can do anything from A to Z on that stuff. But HR in a lot of small businesses specifically is something that is not taken seriously. Your big companies, they have HR managers and they have teams in place and take care of things. But your smaller companies, your company's got 45 people, the 15-person group, the even up into the hundreds. Sometimes they don't have a dedicated person for this, and it can get you in trouble, in a lot of ways. And things change every year. So talk to us a little bit about what all you offer from the fractional HR down to, I know you guys do some managed services and everything else. It kind of explain to everybody what all of that includes, entails, and what you do and don't do as far as that part goes.
Yeah, thanks. So the human resource part of our business, we do a few different things, and we really do handle everything A to Z. But you mentioned fractional HR. I'll start there. So that's really a higher level HR person. That's our service where it's a CHRO. Maybe you need help with strategy or planning, workforce planning. Maybe you need help with just overall compensation strategy, or to completely put together an HR team for your business, right? So we can help with that. We also help with merger and acquisitions, like as companies acquire, and really kind of getting all of that set up for companies. So that's a big piece of our business on the HR side. The other you had mentioned as well is managed service. So that's more of kind of your doer, right? Your day-to-day HR person, maybe you're generalist, maybe they do a little bit of payroll, maybe they do a little bit of employee relations, maybe they're dealing with job descriptions, those types of things. So really, if you think about having an HR person on staff, most small businesses can't afford to do that, right? They can't afford to have a full-time person for 45 people. So maybe you've got somebody on staff that does, accounts receivable, maybe they do purchasing and they're doing HR, but HR really isn't their area. And you had mentioned before, you can get in trouble, right? There's a lot of compliance laws out there that are, employee relations and individuals out there that really, you have to just make sure everything's managed appropriately. And so we can do that on a much smaller scale. And we do that by doing a managed service where you kind of get a bucket of hours essentially, and you can draw from them however you want to do that. So maybe, 1 week you need more heavy in employee relations, and maybe the next week there's more of a need to kind of get a handbook done or job descriptions or whatever it may be. And so we offer that service to really help smaller businesses, medium-sized businesses that maybe don't have a dedicated HR department or somebody that really knows the regulatory pieces of it, or a specialist to be able to help their businesses with that area.
For us, I have I have my office manager, which we're a small business, we're less than 20 employees. And I have an office manager that kind of acts in that HR role as well. She's probably more HR than anything on that. But there's times when, you have situations come up with employees, and, in the time of recording this is 2024. It's different than it was 10 years ago. You know, now you can look at somebody funny, and next thing you know, you got a lawsuit
Yeah.
on your hands, and how you fire people and hire people. There's so many different things, and this is tough for me because the way my brain thinks, I don't think about, well, I can't say it like this, or because I just kind of treat everybody the same. And I think probably a lot of people are like that, but there's a lot of people that aren't like that. And
Sure.
so sometimes, my wife will say, Josh, you can't say that. So what are you talking about? I didn't really, that's offensive. I didn't mean to be offensive, or
Right.
whatever.
Just having a conversation. Yeah.
My brain isn't geared that way, because I'm more of I don't care what you look like or how old you are or what color you are. It's just,
Sure.
are you good or not? If you
Yeah.
suck, you suck. If you're great,
Yeah.
you're great. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And so, but with that being said, nowadays you have to be careful. Say you have somebody, and you need to let them go. Well, there's a right and a wrong way to do that. It's not just, hey, pack your stuff and get out nowadays. Now you have to factor in a lot of other things into that, and honestly, that's just a smart way to do business, anyways. To make sure you're making the right decision and how you do it, and having a situation where, hey, this is something I've got to do. Not really anybody that gets excited about letting somebody go, something's wrong with them, anyways. But it's like, hey, what do I do where I can pick up the phone and say, hey, Deanna, here's the situation. What do I need to do here? How do I need to handle this? And having somebody where you can, you've got that, you can ask them those questions, or, hey, I've got to take, and here's the situation with this person. I need to structure their comp this way, or what do you think about the best route to do benefits? It's, as a small business owner, they're on an island by themselves. You're making decisions every day, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. More times they're good than bad, or they wouldn't be in business, right? But
Right.
you don't have anybody to bounce things off of, and so having somebody like you guys in their back pocket to be able to call and bounce things off of, and it's just man, it just makes sense. And I know personally, I've gotten sued before. I got turned into all this stuff. I got sued for, I let this lady go. She was an older lady, but it wasn't because of, I hired her. So ultimately I won, quotation marks. I
Right.
hired her. So if I had a problem with older ladies, I wouldn't have hired her. But
Right.
she just wasn't very good at sales. This is
Yeah.
when I had an Allstate agency. She wasn't very good, and she knew she
Yeah.
wasn't. So we helped her get a job somewhere else, and then she turned me into, I forgot all the letters that she turned me into. It said that I let her go because of her age and everything. I was like, that's farthest thing from the truth. And I won, but still cost me $18,000 to defend myself.
Yeah.
So did I win? And so it's one of those situations where it don't matter if you're right or wrong. Anybody can be sued. Anybody can say anything they want. In today's society, you're guilty until proven innocent. And so by documenting things and doing things the right way, when you have to make one of these unfortunate, not fun decisions of letting someone go, or making some shifts somehow or another with staffing and employees, there's a right and wrong way to do it. And most of us just don't know. We don't know
Yeah.
what we don't know. And being able to call and talk to somebody like you, that's, I mean, could save you thousands and thousands of dollars, but not just the money. Like in that case, right, $18,000 is a lot of money, but you know how much time I spent
Yeah. I
on
bet.
that?
I
Oh,
bet.
it was horrible. So probably
Yeah.
up in close to $100,000 after you have factor in my time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because anybody can turn anybody in for anything. You can go and file, and that's the thing. You are guilty until proven innocent. And these claims take now, all these agencies are so backed up. So we have claims that are out there for years and years and years. And so the agencies don't move very quickly. They want information from you really fast, and then they sit on it for a year, or then this comes through. And so that's the other piece too, is it can take a really long time. And it's stressful because you don't want that hanging over your business, over your head. It's not fun, regardless. I mean, whether you did something wrong or not, it's never a great process or fun process to engage in. And I think you make a good point on just everybody really is very sue happy, unfortunately. So if you can have some safeguards in place in the back end, I think we function very much, to make sure that the business owner is protected, but also still able to run their business. There's a lot of HR out there that's so black and white and just handcuffs business owners so much to where they're like, well, wait a second, I need to still be able to run my business and still be able to do those things. And so we try to provide solutions that really think about that first, and then obviously make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do and have some safeguards in place. You never ever can, completely wipe out any risk, but I think to be able to try to save some of that money and time in the front end, it's huge, because you were just seeing more and more of that, and we're having to catch it. And we could have maybe made a simple tweak on the back end, or we could have maybe worded something differently in the termination, or worded something differently even when somebody was moving job positions. That would have really helped just kind of mitigate that risk on the back end. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
I found that the investments you make with somebody like yourself and your company on the front end pays for itself on the back end in opportunities found and holes plugged, and money that you didn't have to spend for making a bad decision. And there's a lot of times too where there's things you come across of that's like, oh gosh, why aren't you doing this?
Mhm.
And there's so many programs and different things where you can get money from different places and how to save money. That's like our SMERT program. I know we have you guys, your companies on our program, and that's one of the things you do, help people with some of your HR stuff. But we're just one of many, many, many things that's out there that, you know, every advantage we can get, let's do it, as a
Yeah,
business owner, because it's tough, especially right now. So,
absolutely.
that's awesome. So, I know we talked a lot of stuff. We always try to keep these pretty
Yeah.
short and sweet, keep everybody's attention. Is there anything else that we missed that you want to say, or anything that, before we get off the meeting here, that people need to know about you guys, that we didn't talk about?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. So thank you. I appreciate the time today.
Yeah. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yep. So our website is hrtechsolutions.com. You'll find all of our information there. Also info@hrtechsolutions.com. And there's a phone number there if that helps as well, if you prefer to give us a call. So that goes directly into my inbox and my ops coordinator. So we're certainly there to help if you need anything at all, and really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, reach out to her and her team. They're amazing. And as always, if there's anything I can do to help you, you know how to get in touch with us. Thanks again for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh.